answer, Michael. I like to keep it brief.
It's a real treat. I mean, you didn't know what was happening when we were filming it. You do your scene, you go home and you wash the dishes. So to meet the Fads when it first started 10 years ago, when it first kind of came out, I was blown away, particularly by the worldwide nature of it, the fact that it's all over the world. And the fact that we're here 15, 16 years later, and we're still here. That's true, right? It speaks to the power of the fandom, and it's you people. So, congrats to you.
David, you say all the right things. I love it. I didn't know much about Stargate at all, and then I started shooting it, and they took us down to Comic-Con, and I said, this seems wildly premature. We haven't even aired yet. So they had us down there on, I think, a Saturday, and the show had just aired on a Thursday. And I said, this is pathetic. I don't want to walk into a room. Nobody's going to be there. We haven't even started the show. And we walk in, and the place was packed. I mean, it must have been 5,000 people. Because what I didn't understand is that we had a built-in fan base because of SG-1. And provided they accepted us, it was all good. But I was overwhelmed by it. I said, holy crap, this is a different animal altogether. How do you do holy crap? I want to learn that. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
How did SG-1 accept Atlantis at first?
It didn't. I was going to say it. I was going to point out that we didn't accept Atlantis.
Well, that's interesting.
You took our air conditioner, and that started the war.
It was funny because I used to walk over there fully gacked up, and I'd be like, oh my God, it's so hot over here. It's miserable. I'm going back to my air-conditioned studio.
This is true. This is true stuff.
I didn't know that, really?
Yeah,
Why did we get
the first season of Atlantis, that was our season 8, and our budget was kind of cut. And because Atlantis was the new darling, and Brad was overspending all his time and energy to really launch that show, that we kind of felt like the neglected child. And they took our air conditioner and they put it in their studio,
which tried beating us up.
Yeah. So we held a grudge.
Yeah.
Still
Which
do.
is why I went over there as often as possible to rub it in.
Which went over big.
Were you, Michael, with SG-1, when did you realise how big that was? Obviously, the other guys had Atlantis, they had SG-1 to see that there is this audience there. But for yourselves, when did it kind of hit home? That
it wasn't, I don't think, until after I had gone back to the show in season 7. Because I'd only done ever one convention after I'd left the show. And I think because of its syndication and everything, it hadn't quite built to a fervor, so it wasn't until like season 7 when it was on the Sci-Fi Network and we started going to Comic-Con and whatnot that it turned into a really, we could see how much of a big deal it was worldwide. That was probably when I realized, oh wow, this is something big.
That's kind of crazy that in this age where, Joe's saying that he shows up even before the first episode launches, you guys were, toiling for 6 years.
It was a slow burn, but we were on a cable network to start out with. So in the U.S., it was kind of a bit of a niche.
Yeah.
Showtime was kind of a niche network, and it started gaining traction in syndication. But we were airing at times like 3 in the morning in different markets.
No, yeah.
We actually started to see on the net the presence of
insomniacs.
People more worldwide, like especially in England, Australia, Germany, and places like that. That the show was getting a lot more traction than it was in the States, and it wasn't until the Sci-Fi Network that it really got a big publicity push and started to blow up. So
you mean that when Atlantis launched to help you guys?
No, it was still prior to it. So you were still, don't ever think that you weren't riding the coattails.
It was awesome. They did all the hard work, and then we just came up and cleaned up. Awesome.
the cool new kids, as it were. But there's one thing with the TV ratings or whatever, and the success it gets in just in terms of. Hello, Lord. There's a voice coming from somewhere.
Like a gremlin in there.
Yeah. There's one thing with ratings and buzz and whatnot, but in terms of the fan reaction, Like, as these guys here will attest to, it's a very special show to so many people. When did it hit you that there's this connection with the fans, or any particular fan moments that stand out with you?
It's a bit distracting.
I'm sorry,
here.
we're
We
just
have
having a
Yeah,
crossfire.
there's a man in the speaker.
Yeah, there's many of these boxes speaking to us. Just when did it kind of strike you how personable this show was to so many people, like in terms of any particular fan moments that stuck out where it was heartfelt, emotional, where you realised that this show was more than just a TV series that touched people?
Well, it's sort of over time is, you know, when you first see families come up with the little kids and that first shows, and then, you know, a couple years later, the kids are standing in front of you and they're like, I grew up on this show, right? I watched this show, and you hear personal stories from people that you know, went through things and personal things, health issues, and the show helped them go through. You know, people that became scientists because of that. I know fans that learned Czech because of, you know, doctors are like, you're crazy. Why would you learn that language? So, you know, the effect is phenomenal, and you only get a sense of that when you go to these conventions. Because when you're doing it at the show in the studio, like I said, you do the show and you ride your bike home, you go home and you wash the dishes, right? You're just doing your work.
I lived in a hotel, David.
Yeah, because you're too Flanagan.
I guess I wanted to.
Well, it's also because you don't live in Vancouver.
Actually, it's interesting you say that, though, because, not to diverge on that, but most of the actors were Canadian. And Church was the only American, and they lived in Vancouver and had lives and families. And I was like, when are they going to throw me a party? And they never did. I was like, damn, this is just a day job for them. And I'm up here, you know, away from everybody. So it was kind of weird. And then Jason came, and then, of course, he and I commiserated. And
I didn't realize
that didn't go so well in a hotel studio. We lived together for 3.5 years. Yeah.
Went well for him.
It's so funny because he goes, hey, dude, I had a 2-bedroom place up top. He goes, I'll just stay here until I got to find a place. Like, yeah, no problem. And then literally a day later, there's buffalo heads and axes and shit. And the place looks like Jeremiah Johnson moved in. And I was like, all right, that's cool, whatever. And then, like, cut to 3.5 years later. Yeah, guess he didn't move out.
his pink Cadillac.
Oh, yeah. Pink Cadillac, baby. Yeah, he likes to go under the radar.
Yeah, he's hard to spot.
So it was, but I think that's interesting because it wasn't a day job for me.
Yeah,
it was a full, like, sacrifice. I was, like, away from my wife and kids, and I was like, damn. This, right? Thank you. You guys want to throw me a party? Thank you.
Party.
It's only 10 years later.
Which makes me wonder, like, with that kind of level of immersion in the job, why you weren't better.
That's precisely why I wasn't.
I'm just kidding. I never watched the show. Slings.
All I
arrows.
know is I never sweated because I had air conditioning.
The colder, cooler, younger kid was it, yeah, with air conditioning. But with like, just the general concept of Stargate, I mean, there was the last outing, I guess, would be the web series a couple of years ago, 2018. It's this, I guess it is to you, this concept that can just keep being revisited and rebranded in different directions.
Well, we ignore the web series.
SG1 for life.
Yeah.
Just because I saw it.
It wasn't in canon.
Very good.
Canon is important.
So's budget.
Well, it's tough with a long-running sci-fi series because you start to get to episodes that sound like other episodes, and you got to kind of pick your fresh stories. And when you're into season 8, and when you're kind of going on and on and on, so having those stories to tell, you need a really good, strong writing room, and I think we had that with SG. A1 iterations.
Yeah. Although I would go into the writer's room and pitch something, and they would be like, oh, it's a great idea. Oh, yeah, we did that in episode 5,337. Come on. Damn, there are no fresh ideas, and there are no new ideas anymore. So, yeah, it was not easy, but, you know, the way they have to look at the whole landscape of storytelling, I thought was interesting because we broke some interesting ground when we did an episode called Vegas. And it was, well, I know you guys probably did this too, but it was kind of a Earth-based parallel universe stuff. And I was like, oh, this is good. This creates a new dimension of storytelling. Yeah, and then we got canceled.
Yeah, that was right at the end, Vegas, wasn't it? Yeah, that was one of the last things I thought. Why didn't they have this earlier in the show?
Because we did that. We did that.
Recycling. If you guys out there have got any questions as well, we have got some people who are going to be walking around with mics. But just I should clarify that because of COVID protocols and whatnot, that the person will hold the microphone for you, then just ask the question. So Eager Beaver, right at the front there. We got a microphone for this lady here. Oh, I'm there as well. We'll come to you next.